Hi, everybody. As you're coming into the room, we just want to remind you that this is going to be, this is a recorded session. We hope that you will turn on your videos so we can see all your faces. Welcome, everybody. Welcome as you come into the room. We would love to see your faces. Welcome to the town hall. We hope you can turn on your cameras and join us. Welcome, everybody. Hello, John. Good to see you. Hi, Heidi. Good to see you.
Hi, DaVina.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see everybody. Welcome to the town hall. We hope that you can join us by turning on your cameras so we can have a face-to-face conversation. Welcome to the town hall, everybody. This is a recorded session. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Diana. Great to see your faces. Hi, Anna. Great to see you. I don't know if you guys remember Romper Room, but I kind of feel like Romper Room here.
Yeah, it does feel like Romper Room.
I'm waiting for a fast post to come. They're dropping off something.
Just a reminder, I'm going to ask you all to keep yourselves on mute. We will have an open discussion and we'll turn everybody's mics on, but we are going to get started here. Thank you. Please turn on your videos if you're able so we can see your faces and begin the conversations. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Jeffrey. We're going to go ahead and get started. We are very lucky that our president's previous engagement that she had scheduled for the very beginning has freed her, and she is available with us. Felicia Mares is available here today for our broker managers town hall. I'm going to turn it over to her so we can get started with our agenda. I did send out a quick agenda earlier today. We are going to start with Felicia. We're going to turn it over to our Government Affairs Director, Karen Shnoy, just to kind of talk about the state of the area here. Gustavo's going to give us a quick update as to what the MLS has already started to do to take action in regards to some tools that will help us with realtor safety with the MLS. And then we're going to go ahead and open up everybody to kind of have a discussion. I want to hear some feedback as to what everybody has been experienced. We did have a message that came out from one of our offices that we heard about that kind of sparked this discussion, and we've been hearing from other offices too. So we appreciate you all jumping in and being part of this conversation. We know it was last minute, but we do appreciate you all participating. So I'm going to turn this over now to our president for this year, Felicia Mares. Thank you so much, Felicia.
Thanks, DaVina. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. We really appreciate it. This conversation is super, super important. And I just want to thank all of those who have reached out personally to have discussions with me, with the staff, with members of our community, with other brokers and all of that. I think those conversations are super important, and I'm glad that we're bringing it here somewhere where we can collaborate, hear each other out, give space for each other to talk, and to really listen to what's going on in our community in ways that we can hopefully move towards a safer place for all of us to work. And thank you to staff for jumping on creating this session really quickly. That's something that we pride ourselves on at the Bridge Association of Realtors, just coming together in community and really listening to what our members need. And you guys are the boots on the ground, hearing it day in, day out, seeing what agents are going through. And so we really need to hear your perspective and what agents are experiencing out there in order to figure out a way forward. And I do hope that you guys understand we're doing the best that we can at the association level. Of course, we're going to be restricted depending on what we can and cannot do, but we want to do everything within our power to make this a safe space. And I have had conversations with Jen Branchini, the president for California Association of Realtors. She is aware, and they're experiencing it, elsewhere as well. So it is going to be a conversation that's going to be had on the state and national level as well. And you can rest assured that Bridge will have a say in that room as well. And we'll be present for any of those conversations, and we'll bring it back to our members where we see fit. So thank you guys again for being here. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you all today. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Kieran, who's going to give us a sort of state of the county update.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Felicia. It's great to hear that folks are talking about this at CAR and NAR. I don't, the problems that we're facing aren't necessarily, specific to our jurisdiction, but, Alameda County and our jurisdiction has been feeling a lot of the uptick in crime across the region, and it's certainly something that's on the radar for the general business community as a whole. I go to meetings at the Oakland Chamber of Commerce, Berkeley Chamber of Commerce. Number one discussion at most and many of those meetings is public safety.
Mhm.
And it's actually become the number one topic of concern among most folks that in some polls that have been taken of issues that are facing the city. Just for instance, year over year, the City of Oakland Police Department puts out stats, but year over year, they've seen a 15% increase in robberies in Oakland. So, it's definitely something that people are feeling across the board. And you hear it not only from the Oakland Chamber of Commerce, but you hear it from like the Chinatown Chamber of Commerce. All the ethnic chambers have been really up in arms about this because of the rash of robberies all around downtown Oakland and some places in Berkeley. I mean, and this is not just Oakland. This is Berkeley, and this is a regional thing as well, because they had a town hall the other day, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, actually, in Oakland, and there were hundreds of residents up in arms at that town hall wanting something to happen to address the public safety issues that the city of Oakland is facing. And people were quite heated and had a lot to say. And this is one more, the stories that you're telling us definitely is something that we can kind of talk to other businesses about in terms of what our industry is going through, and sharing the experiences that all of the businesses in our region are kind of talking about with the public officials and with folks that will listen to what issues we have to bring to them. I mean, for example, in Berkeley, they just passed an ordinance to try to put security cameras in the public right of way. This is Berkeley. Berkeley usually is the champion of Fourth Amendment rights and privacy, and they just voted to put security cameras in the public right of way because of the issues and the uptick in crime and the issues that they're facing there. So I just want to kind of give that general context to what you guys are seeing out there on in the field. So that's all I got to say for now. I'm happy to answer questions.
Okay, so I think I'm going to go next. Thank you, Kieran. So I'm Gustavo Rodriguez, the COO for Bridge MLS and the Bridge Association of Realtors. I'm going to share with you guys what we're doing on the MLS side regarding the topic of security. But before I do that, let me put into context the fact that Bridge MLS is part of a bigger picture. We're part of not only of the NorCal MLS Alliance. The NorCal MLS Alliance, as you guys probably are aware, is MetroList, Barrie, San Francisco, Contra Costa, Base, and MetroList. But we're also part of the other California data shares through the state of California. What I'm trying to say is that we're part of a bigger picture of a total of 11 MLSs that we participate in the state of California. Said that, we work very closely with Contra Costa and Bay East, which are our neighbor MLSs, and we have formed a group that we're part of, and that we actually are chair of that group this year. It is called MMG, is the MLS management group, and we meet monthly with them, and we discuss common MLS platform issues. And not only MLS platform issues, but we also discuss new technology. And in the new technology, this is where security comes into play. So we, Bridge MLS, are looking into new technologies all the time. And one of the technologies that we're looking at right now is called Safe Showings. So we have contacted Safe Showings, which was created by a realtor in South Carolina. She's the CEO. She created this app, and I'm going to show you parts of it. So I'm going to share my screen. I think that I have the capability of doing so. So I'm just going to share the screen here, and you probably can see the screen. And this is the homepage of Safe Showings. What Safe Showings allows you to actually do is to to download an app on your cell phone. Once you download the app, it's going to allow you to enter 3 emergency contacts of your choice. So it will allow you to enter either your friends, your family member, a broker, somebody that you trust to enter as the emergency contact. Then the app is going to let you set up a timer feature to it. And that timer feature is going to be triggered after if you have not responded during the time for the time frame that you have set it up for. So if you set it up for 45 minutes, if they don't hear from you 45 minutes in, then the app automatically is going to trigger a call to your contact. So I'm going to send you the link to this, but what I want you to do when you go into the website, going to Why Safe Showings, there is a video here. It's a 20-minute long video. It's pretty long, but halfway through the video, it's going to show you and it's going to demo the app itself. So it will tell you exactly how it works. And like I said, it's pretty much 3 steps. You enter the 3 emergency contacts, then you set up the timer as to when you want the application to contact your the contact that you trust. The application itself has a GPS tracking feature, and it will send the contact, the client information out to your contact. So I'm going to stop sharing here. We're looking at different apps, and I'm going to show you also. Let me see here. I think that I have this document in Where. Oh, I thought I was prepared with this document. And there it is. Here it is. So there is a multiple of different apps that we're looking at. Safe Showings has the emergency alert feature. It has the automatic dial 911 feature, has the GPS location, the automatic timer that I was talking about, the open house features, driver license to validate the identity of the person that you're meeting at the location where you're showing the property, and the image of the buyer's face, so the person that's going into the property. So all of these features has this particular application. So we're going to be having a MLS committee meeting on the first Friday of next month. So we're going to run it by the MLS committee first, and then we're going to meet with MMG and present it to MMG. So that is what we're doing on the MLS side.
Thank you, Gustavo. So when we got the news about the announcement about our first attack that went out to our membership, we started to swing into action, calling this meeting, and then looking at apps. So that is where we're at now. At this point, we'd like to open up the floor to all of you. We have been hearing different stories. Felicia did share with you that she has been contacted by a few other members. And so this is not our town hall, this is your town hall. And we're here to hear what your concerns are, what you are hoping to, what you're looking for us to do. I'm not sure what we can do at this point, but we are here to listen. And we are here to then work as your leadership, as your admin and leadership team, to go back to the board. We're here to start the discussion, and you have several leaders on the call here, and board of directors meets in a few weeks. We are all in contact with the CAR. So Felicia, I'm going to let you lead from this point on, and my team and I are going to take notes.
Thank you so much. And I just want to do a quick reminder. I have not been given authority to share any details of any event that has occurred. If somebody, let's just keep that in mind, that we don't want to get in the weeds on discussing somebody's exact situation.
Right.
Go ahead, DaVina.
I will tell you this, we were allowed to share the one event that came to us in writing. There wasn't a document that was shared with us, no names. That document was sent out to the membership. And I think everybody, you may have seen it, you may not have, but it was sent out and was posted. But there were no names involved, and that was sent out last week. That was the only thing that was sent, but you're correct. There was no names, no brokerage or anything, but that announcement was sent out.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So on the lower part of your screen where there's a reactions button, you can click to raise your hand and we can just start an open conversation. I know we've already been having a lot of these conversations at our own brokerages or within our own offices or with your friends or whatever, but here is a place for us to all share with people that maybe we don't get to see on a daily basis. Let's start with Helen.
And I apologize, I got distracted by a call that I
It's
need.
okay. I started talking because I saw you were on the phone. I was just going to keep going until.
Wait, there, sorry. Then I looked at another citizen crime post of somebody else getting stuck up by a gun and robbed. So my concern, I guess, is being sitting ducks at open houses, public open houses, broker open houses. The listing agent is there and the bad guys walk in and in 3 seconds you're either robbed or dead, you know. So some of us have been noodling around the idea, well, not having open houses doesn't seem to be an option, but how can we make those open houses safer? It would have to be an more or less at least a regional agreement for competitive reasons. But I'm thinking no more A-frames stuck all over town. Maybe not even one in front of the house that people would only know because they're serious buyers and they're looking at the feed that advertises the open houses. So I'd love to hear some discussion today about what we can do about the open house situation. And I won't mention names, but years ago, one of our who has retired, who was a Coldwell Banker agent, at the end of her agent tour, a bad guy came in and tied her up, and it was really horrific what happened. So, the end.
Thank you, Helen. Appreciate that. Miss Santa Knight. Santa, are you with us? You're muted if so.
Let me unmute you. There I am. I'm
There you go.
I thought I had done that. So I have the similar concerns about being in an open house. And I also think there is limited things that you can do because sometimes these things take place outside of an open house. You do have some kind of obligation to the seller. I just really don't know what we can do and what we can enforce. And it's a bad moment in time like that. I mean, you can't tell the seller, I don't think that, no, we're not having any open houses. You can bring somebody with you. That's a measure of security. There's more than one. But we can't carry guns around and shoot bad people, for example. We can't do that. But it is a concern, but it's not just in the open house. The concerns are everywhere. You could be just meeting somebody somewhere and bad actors appear.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, you could understand like our perspective when we're talking about it on an association level. It's very difficult because there's only certain things we can do, right? And so we start feeling like, well, what are we going to do, right? Like, what is the actionable step that we can actually take that's going to work? And I know there's been a lot of conversations floating around about limiting open houses or limiting marketing materials or A-frames or, you know, what can we do in that end? And we do have to think about our community as a whole and the way that would impact all of the residents here, right? If we don't have open houses, A-frames is one thing because that's marketing, and that I think that can be left to your decision. There are times where I don't put out A-frames, right? Just for one reason or another, I decide that that's not the route I'm going to go. And Kieran made an interesting point earlier today when we were chatting about it and Kieran, maybe you can step in here. Maybe, I don't know if you had time to look to see if that's a rule or not, but I know a lot of cities do mandate not having A-frames, but it doesn't necessarily stop us. And so that has to then be a personal decision that we take on to decide that my safety is very important and I'm not willing to put out A-frames in order to market myself.
I would sure hate to see somebody, it's Zana again, I would sure hate to see the use of A-frames legislated like it is in some HOAs, you know, in the suburbs.
Well, the general rule in Oakland is, for instance, I only looked up Oakland, was that realty signs aren't allowed in the public right of way. So they are allowed on the property, but they're not allowed in the public right away. And that's been that way for 20 plus years.
And nobody listens to it.
Nobody listens to it.
So we're already breaking the rule. So clearly like the mandate doesn't necessarily work, right?
I think that you could choose, I think it's like you say, you can choose to put signs out or not. You could go back to showing time where things are scheduled and people go in individually. And that's I mean, there's not much more you can do to keep safe because we don't have any legislation. We are an association and we can only be responsible for the marketing of the house and how that affects the community. The other stuff is left to our, forgive me for saying it, our over the top local governments, which seem to be in over their head and not have any time or money to put to these general safety problems. I mean, they're all standing up and saying things, but sometimes I wonder, they seem, very few of them have any experience with this. I hate to say this, but Rudy Giuliani, who was long past his sell by date by decades, did have a situation like this in New York. And he did tackle it with police. And the stats for the city of New York, which is a much bigger and more divided, it's a very interesting city, that worked. They have very low crime rates after that. But here, there was so much pushback and negativity about police. I don't have anything one way or the other. They have a job to do. Sometimes they don't do a very good job at their job. But I don't see, how all we can do is govern our open houses and our marketing. That's
Right.
about it.
I appreciate that perspective. Kathy, let's hear from you.
So I have a couple of comments. I'm a big fan of brokers making independent decisions with their agents and their seller clients, because we can't forget the seller clients here, of advertising open houses via A-frames and making ourselves sitting ducks, as someone previously said. I think that's great, but that's going to have to be independent decisions that brokers, their agents, and the sellers make. I think back of COVID, right? And one of the best things about, well, there were a couple great things about COVID, honestly, as bad as it was. One was when we transitioned away from the lockdown, we had like by appointment only, but kind of open houses, but pretend open houses. It was by appointment. And someone put in the chat, I think it was Xana, that like, yeah, you can keep the door locked till your appointment comes. You know who your appointment's with and you know who you expect to see. That's still going to not keep you safe, right? Nothing's going to really keep you safe until we have proper law enforcement on the streets of every major city. That's what it's going to take. We can't change that. I do think we need to think long and hard about how we communicate with our sellers about this. One of the things, for those of you that might know me, I'm primarily risk management and legal issues is what I deal with as the broker of record at Compass. And I'm very cognizant of not only the physical harm that could come to an agent at an open house or any other showing, quite frankly. And sellers need to understand the impact of what that would have on that property, because now that becomes a stigmatized property that has to be disclosed. You've got a couple of different issues that you can sit down with sellers and talk about. I've never believed that open houses were safe. When I was an active agent, I didn't do it. My husband was in law enforcement for 30 years. And he said, don't you dare ever sit in a house alone and let strangers walk in. That's just not what a normal human does. And I listened to that and I never had a seller balk. I just didn't have open houses. Everything was by appointment. But guess what? We still don't ask buyers for ID. We still haven't got to that stage in California. Many states, you have to have identification. You have a right to see who you're with. You have a right to see the person you're meeting and see their government issued ID. We don't do that. We don't protect ourselves here. And that's very problematic. And I've been dealing with CAR about this. I've been talking to their general counsel about this, to Jennifer Branchini. We need to get to a stage where we value our safety as much as we should. And we don't right now. We were all kids at one time and our parents told us, don't ever get in a car with strangers. Oh, heck, I got my real estate license and I forgot all about that rule. So we just haven't done really anything to really show that we value our own personal safety. And that's a detriment to ourselves and our families who love us. So I think we have to think hard about this and how we approach this business in a professional way, but also a safe way. The other thing I would add is not to be political at all, but I come from a law enforcement family. My daughter was a commander of police. My son was in the police department. My husband was a detective supervisor. My brother was a homicide sheriff. So that's what I come from. I value law enforcement. I value what they do for.
Hello, and welcome to Flutter Forward.
Oh,
It's a really, really exciting day.
what is
And
that?
thank you for tuning in.
What is
My name is
Flutter
John.
Forward?
I'm a developer relations engineer on the Flutter and Dart team.
You know, DaVina, can you mute all-
software engineer on the Flutter framework team.
And we
don't know
have some
what that
guests
is.
from Google and from the
Can you
community.
mute
joining us
Kathy?
today.
Do you
Our
have
first
another
guests
window
are
open?
Rudy and Todd.
I don't know where it's coming from. Hold on. I'm trying to find it.
I'm trying to find it too.
Yeah.
I think Emily muted everybody, so Kathy can unmute herself and keep talking.
Answering your questions live.
Okay.
And
Oh,
if you have a question in the live chat,
It's
Oh,
coming from you.
Kathy,
It's coming from Kathy.
Another
It's coming from
window.
you, Kathy.
Yeah,
Okay,
certainly pick out some materials for ones to start
I
off
can't
with,
talk
given the experts that we have with us. So where
It's-
should we start,
it's-
John?
Kathy, you're gonna have to
yeah, we have
find
the first
out
question here.
which
The question
tab
is,
that
when is the right time to
one of your tabs. So Kathy, you have to go and figure out which tab you have that
So
shows.
for the first part, the right time.
Yeah, it is you, Kathy. So I keep muting her so that we don't hear that. Yeah.
True inside your theme data. This will update
I
any
have no
widgets
idea
that are
what
supported
to do right now.
and flip to the new colors.
Use material 3 of API documentation in the theme data.
Maybe
you-
we can just, Kathy, you might just want to put whatever you have to say in chat.
Or Kathy, sign out, close all of your windows and then sign back in.
I think we've lost her completely.
Or she probably signed off.
That's,
Yeah.
that's okay. She'll be,
Which she should.
I'm sure she'll be back. We
Yeah.
can get back to it, but I think she was making some really great points.
Great
And
points. Yeah.
you know, Gustavo did show some of those different apps. One of them is Forewarn. I'm going to put the link in the chat. We are going to be looking into this one as well.
Yeah.
To her point of checking people's IDs, this app will actually let you input somebody's phone number, because of course IDs can also be fake. So you can put in somebody's phone number and it will pull a background check on them and make sure that they are who they say they are. So these are the certain technologies that we're going to be looking into as an association. And if you want to do so for yourself or for your brokerage, then there are plenty of options for that as well. And I do think it's something that we should be stressing to our agents, is that we need to be getting people's IDs and know who we're meeting at a property. We're going to see an increase in agents taking risks as the market is a little bit different than what many of us newer agents are used to, right? So I am a little bit concerned that people are going to be taking on a little bit more risk than they would have otherwise. Let's go to Valerie Ruma.
Okay, I just want to say, you know, everybody says, well, we can't just not do open houses, but we did just not do open houses for like 2 years during COVID, and it worked just fine. So I think for right now, until we get this ironed out with law enforcement and the whole situation settles down, I'm not doing open houses. I'll tell my clients, you know, open houses are generally for agents to pick up new clients, and it's not to sell your house. And there are other ways to advertise your house and have, you know, registered agents show it to their clients who they already know. And I think Kathy made a huge point that if something happens at that property, the property is going to be stigmatized, and that's not in anybody's best interest.
So I'm
happy to say by appointment only on my listings. And right now, I think the clients that I have currently would be fine with that.
So, and I respect your right to do that, right? And I think that we all should think about our own businesses and what our comfort level is and what risk we're willing to take, and figure out a business strategy to navigate that with our clients and to help them through that. It is difficult though. Like, you know, yes, we were selling a lot of real estate during the pandemic and it worked fine to do the appointments and the peds and all of that. But if you talk to a buyer's agent who was out there hitting the pavement, it was very difficult for them mentally. And it was very hard during that time. Yes, we were selling a lot, but was it safe? Like personally, probably not very much either. So, you know, there's pros and cons to that decision that we each have the right to make. as an association, it would be very difficult to mandate and to say, you know, no more open houses across the board.
Right. Well, and I'm sure that I'm not necessarily advocating for the association to mandate that. However, I would rather personally be alive than worry about, you know, am I selling this piece of real estate? And I think I can sell real estate without having open houses.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many ways that we can do this, right? And I agree with the folks in the chat. It's also, we got to take into consideration the impact it has on our businesses, right? And we're all at different places. We all get our clients from different places. So we as a group want to think about the greater good, right? The entire population of agents out there. Okay. Mavis.
So I did not think, I mean, it sounds like people were thinking that this was going to be, the association was going to set down some law, which I find kind of strange that some of you thought that. I was not thinking that that was what this was about, but I did think.
I don't think that we all thought that.
I did think that it was important to talk to other brokerages about it because of the competitive portion of it. So if it gets to a point where there's multiple incidences at these open houses, then I would have to say we do need to come together as a community and say, okay, everybody, let's just make it appointment only. If we're going to have open houses, all of us know there's so much common sense stuff about open houses, staying safe, having extra people there, having somebody who pops in at your open house multiple times throughout the open house, posing as a buyer, just walks through. I used to have my ex-husband used to do that all the time. He used to just come in to the open house, ask some questions, walk around, hang out in the backyard for a while, see if he saw any bad actors, and then he would go down the street and watch. So that was, I had that before. But I think the bigger, and I am all for the losing the A-frames. There was an A-frame on College Avenue this weekend that was leading someone to an open house in Montclair. I found that that was a hell of a lot of A-frames if you're starting on College Avenue to lead somebody into Montclair. And I think as a group, we could say, while this is going on, let's all stop using A-frames. I think especially during brokers tours, no reason for that. And I also have to agree with Kieran when he said this is not just, everybody keeps saying, oh, they're targeting realtors, they're targeting realtors. No, they're not targeting realtors. This is just crime. This is not just happening in Oakland. This is crime that is happening in the world. And in Oakland, if you go to eat, very often you go to pull cash out of your pocket. It says, sorry, we can't accept cash because we've had too many robberies. We're a card only situation. So there are, I mean, I really just don't want people to start this whole mindset of they're targeting agents. There's no one group that's being targeted. We are seeing an uptick in crime because we have a desperate population and we have huge ideological divisions in the world right now. So drop the you're being targeted and just start thinking about safety. And in the meantime, we might do some things that are not normal to our business, but that might protect us all in the short run. And hopefully we have longer term solutions that will come up, as in people will get, and the world will become a safer place in some way. I love the idea of entering the phone numbers. I love the idea of knowing who I'm meeting with, because for years I never knew who I was meeting with. I used to just grab a floor call and run out the door and meet somebody, a perfect stranger, as they say, at a vacant house. So that's my 2 cents. I hope that I don't plan on putting out A-frames for brokers tours, and I plan on putting out very limited A-frames, if any, for open houses for the time being.
Thank you so much. Nagar.
Hi, Felicia.
Hi.
Hi. So I just I'm sorry I came late, so I apologize. I came in 15 minutes after. So if you guys have talked about this, then forgive me. However, I also agreed with everything Mavis just said. And I also thought that this was going to be a little bit different of a forum, but I always appreciate and value everything that my, colleagues have to say. I just was hoping that there was going to be more that we were going to do as opposed to being patrollers and be more, cognizant of thinking of ideas like offering self-defense classes, offering tips, sending it out to people, to brokerages, coming up with systems that would work, maybe getting a really great deal on an alarm system or something that, we can buy in bulk, that we can offer to people who need to function and need to be doing things. And I was kind of hoping that this was going to be like a strategy session on trying to figure out ways of doing that, because regardless of what's happening in general, as Mavis so eloquently put, this is a situation that's been happening. It's been happening for years and years. This is my 20th year, and I can say I've heard these stories multiple times on different levels. It's just that they're more exasperated now by desperation. And I just was hoping that we would kind of come up with some solutions outside of trying to be the patrollers, because I really don't want to get into like those things. So maybe you did talk about that, but
no, so this forum is whatever you want it to be. This is for you guys to, if we want to come up with like solutions, like
ideas,
saying, like, let's hear it. Like, that's what we want. And we're happy to kind of work together as a group to figure out how we're going to do that. So,
I think trying to find, I know that there are some, alarm companies out there that are portable that can move. I think maybe we should try to look and see if we can get those at maybe a discounted level, working with people for giving either like self-defense classes or just really common safety tips on the buddy system, making sure that the requiring of IDs, whatever it is that we think are safety tips that we can kind of share with the larger community seems to make sense to me. I want to remind people also that not everyone works in Piedmont, and that what I mean by that is some of these communities that we work in have a very, difficult relationship with the police. So I want to be cognizant of that and the different communities that we work with, because we want to make sure that we're not asking police to intervene or do things or patrol in a heavy way that makes our community members feel as though they are also being targeted and or feel unsafe because of their relationships with the police. So I just have to be that voice in the room just because that's who I am. And I really think that it's important that we make sure that we honor and respect the personal choices of each different agent. We're all independent contractors, whether one person wants to put signs or doesn't, or your safety. I mean, all of it is about your own comfort level and the neighborhoods you're in. But I know there are a lot of lenders right now who are dying to get into open houses. I know there's a lot of people within our community that would love to go in and buddy up with an agent because they think that's a way of them getting business, but it also allows you a safe person to be with, so you're not alone. So I just think in general, we have to kind of maybe think of some strategies, and those were the only things that I just wanted to share. And thank you for the time.
I love that. I love the idea of teaming up with someone. Lenders are available and ready for that. So that's a great option. Kathy, have we gotten the sound figured out?
Somebody hijacked my computer. I don't know who they were. It was
talking about safety.
I actually, it was a bunch of strange people when I logged out of this call. I have no idea who they are. But I just rejoined and that seemed fine. Where I left off is I just wanted to ask, and I guess I just heard the prior speaker, kind of feel differently about this idea, but I just wonder, as associations, as MLSs, as CAR and industry, join with other retail industries, have there been efforts to talk to the political leaders, the people that have been voted into office, that are charged with really, figuring out how to help protect our communities? Have we had any interactions with them? I don't know if there's a government affairs director that could have conversations. And I agree 100%. It's not just about real estate. It's about everyone that's vulnerable, everybody that is opening a door to a stranger. And that's like everybody who isn't. Like it can be the mini market at the gas station. It's like, doesn't matter where you are. And I think when we're in a society where there's, very little consequence for these actions, people are emboldened, and we just seem like, easy targets along with many others. So I was curious about our efforts as a trade organization joined with other industries to talk to the political leaders. That was one of my questions. And so if you have any insight on that, or maybe that's already been done or it's been discussed.
Oh, yeah, we appreciate that. So we have done things like that in the past, and one of our committees was planning on doing DaVina put this in the chat, was planning on doing a self-defense class in September for Realtor Safety Month. You know, maybe we might need to bump that up and have it sooner rather than later, but we were also discussing the potential of having some sort of panel discussion or Q&A with some of the members of the cities that we represent, you know, city council members or somebody representing the police departments in those cities. So we do have committees that are working on getting that together, and we've had that in the past. And Kieran, if there's anything you want to add, feel free to hop in.
I would just add that, you know, the association is members. We're a member of the local chambers of commerce, you know, whether it be in Oakland, Berkeley, and it is definitely the #1 topic of discussion in terms of how to try to, you know, make sure that the city council members and the mayor understand what folks are going through in the business community with regard to uptick in crime. So it's definitely part of the conversation, and this conversation that we're having today, right now, and all the stories that I've seen come through is definitely going to be something that I bring to that group to bolster the narrative to that this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And we are always watching closely what our elected officials are doing in the local communities in terms of how they address public safety and the decisions that they make towards addressing the issues moving forward. So it definitely is something that's on our radar.
Thank you. And we'll make sure to get that all of that info out to you guys. And I love seeing you guys like get excited about like participating and being a voice. I know that, you know, sometimes we go to, depending on the issue, we go to city council meetings and, you know, there might be 2 of us or there might be 30 of us, depending on what the issue is. So if that does arise, we will definitely let you know that there's an opportunity out there to show up and show out in numbers. And then to the comments regarding sharing some of the stories, of course, we want to respect the privacy of the victims and their comfort level with sharing that. They're fine with us sharing that. You know, we're not going to go around patrolling and beating down doors to find out what the story is. If somebody comes to us and they have concern and they want their story shared, then we are happy to do that. So that's the stance, you know, but information is spreading through each other and brokerages and stuff. So, Amy, let's hear from you.
Lori Arazi, it's you. It's just that it says Amy.
Yeah, sorry about that. I signed in under my assistant's thing. She sent me an invitation to this. So that's why I didn't respond right away. Sorry, I'm not Amy, I'm Lori.
Lori, let's go to you.
Thank you, Felicia. I just wanted to sort of second what a couple of other people said and maybe emphasize a little bit more. I think that doubling up at open houses is absolutely the way to go. I don't want to start asking people to show me their ID. IDs can be, you know, can be phony. I don't want to have that feeling in an open house, frankly. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. Anybody else who wants to should absolutely do what they want to do. It's not something I want to do. I do think we should double up at open houses, whether it be with a colleague or a lender or whomever. I would hate it if I thought that we all started having to pay for private security. And if we decided as a group, and we can't enforce anything as a group, but we could encourage people to comply. If we decided that, you know what, let's take our Saturdays back and have Saturdays be our own time, or if work, then something that, that we need to do specifically on that day instead of holding it open. What if we all took our Saturdays back and just decided to have open houses only on Sundays? It seems like it would be easier for people to schedule doubling up if we were to do that. And then guess what? We'd all get a day off potentially. I would really like to have a Saturday off every now and then. So I don't want to go back to the way it was during the, during the beginning of COVID when, you know, we didn't have any open houses and we had to show every house to every client privately. When I'm a listing agent, I feel like I'm doing a service to my colleagues by holding a house open so that they don't have to go running around town all day long, showing every one of their buyers every house. So I would like to continue to have open houses, but I really, really want it to be safe for us just as much as everybody else does. Thank you.
And one of the side effects of that might be that, you know, all of the folks who were going to come out to a Saturday open house now decide to come to the Sunday, and it's busier where less crime is going to happen, right? So
brilliant. Hadn't even thought of that. Brilliant.
Yeah, we want those open houses to be busy anyways, because it's good for the seller, obviously, and for just overall like feeling of the home. But yeah, having that be a busier open house is better than, you know, you sitting there in an empty house where only 2 people came through because it's a holiday weekend Saturday open house, right? So lots of, I don't know if other people have opinions on, you know, as a community saying like, let's limit how many, you know, Saturday open houses we're having, but who couldn't use a Saturday on? Okay, Malika, is it Malika?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so some of the activities that I've been hearing about are a bit different than they've been in the past. And in saying that, this is kind of for Kieran and for the recording, you know, more than, you know, everybody's just, anyway. Public safety, because some of what I've been hearing is that, you know, people headed towards a broker's tour or people headed into an open house. You know, there's people, I guess, who are kind of lying in wait in the neighborhood to then, you know, attack people as they're headed in. That's one of the things that I think that, you know, our cities and our police departments and stuff should be aware of. It's not necessarily the old-fashioned, you know, agent there and somebody comes in and, you know, tries to attack the agent for whatever they've got on them. Also, you know, we haven't really talked stories today, and I understand people's privacy and everything. I was at an open house, I won't say where it was, but it was a few years ago now, where there was a shooting out in front. I did have another agent with me, but I can tell you, not only, you know, was the other agent and I a bit shooken up by it, but the people in the house that were there visiting at the time were shooken up, obviously, by it as well. And I remember this one couple specifically, you know, they were in the backyard, they came in ashen face and said, was that a shooting? And we said, we believe so. They left immediately. And, you know, I think our government officials need to understand that, you know, yes, there's crime everywhere. Yes, you know, there's, you know, a lot of us are thinking about, like, you know, where might or might not our car get broken into, depending on where we want to go for dinner and all that sort of stuff. But these are people that are considering moving to our area and spending tons and tons of money and creating lots of tax revenue for our area. And, you know, if they're attacked outside the open house, not only does the house have stigma itself, but the region's going to have stigma for whoever's thinking about shopping here and living here. So and they're going to share it. I mean, you know, we all know bad news travels faster than good news oftentimes. So anyway, enough of my soapbox, but I just wanted to say that, yes, we've got to keep ourselves safe, but also I think we need to be aware of the public safety when it comes to some of this stuff as well, and keep our eyes open, you know, as we're at the house, looking out the window to see, is there somebody half a block up, you know, kind of eyeing the house and waiting for somebody to come, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you. Yeah, paying attention to your surroundings. Mavis.
Of course, being mindful is always going to be good, but it's going to be really hard to hold an open house where you're looking out the window, looking for the black car that's changing the plates down the block. So I'm back to I think it was Nagar made the suggestion about, is there any way we can get some sort of group discount on something like Simply Safe, where you have portable security things. I want to look into portable cameras, because if I could have a set of cameras that I could bring to every one of my open houses, have them attached for the time, that my house is on the market, so I can see everybody who's coming and going on an app, or it gets recorded on an app. At least I would have some measure of, perhaps, I know lots of these people are masked, but perhaps having just another layer. People don't like to be photographed when they're doing crimes. It's just one of those things they don't like too much. So I think that if we had some sort of group discount on portable cameras, that would be great.
Thank you. We hear you, and we will, not to put more work on staff's plate, but we will be looking into that, and DaVina's smiling, and I know she's down for it. So we will be looking into portable alarms or cameras and seeing what the options are there. Hi, Christine.
Hi there. Just some comments and no question, but Helen, Nicholas, and I have been doing open houses as a buddy, doing the buddy system for years. If I can't be there, I find someone to help her and vice versa. But even with the buddy system, I think we both are worried as two women being in the house by ourselves. Like, who are we? We're always friendly to everyone that comes through, but now we have to be more aware of who comes in, and like, if something does happen, what are two women going to do? Because we're hearing contractors, men getting robbed at gunpoint in front of these listings that are being prepped. So how do we keep ourselves safe, So that's something that we're, Helen and I are kind of we're very concerned about. And I think soon we're going to have a conversation with our sellers to see what we can do to protect ourselves, but still promote their property and get buyers through. So that's all I had to say.
Yeah, that it's so tough, because it is like, what can you do, right? Like, what is the solution there? Outside of just getting somebody else who is okay with that, getting somebody else to run your open houses, what are the other options there?
For our broker's tour on Thursday, there was an agent who kept the door locked. She was also accompanied by her dog, who was rather large. And as she said, no one knows that her dog would not hurt anybody, but it was a large dog. She kept the door locked and only let people in that she recognized as agents. So that gave her, what she had was a screen, one of those heavy duty screen doors. And I got there and I'm like trying to get in, and she comes peeking around the corner. Oh, Mavis, okay, lets me in.
Right.
She locked the door again. Right. So just in terms of your own personal safety, if someone wants to try the door locking and people have to knock to get in, it's not going to solve, obviously not one thing we're going to say is going to solve every single issue.
But make it a little bit more difficult for those people who, that's what we really can do, is make it a little bit more difficult for them, as not being such easy targets. But the other part to that is that we have to be concerned with, the way that we are judging the people around us, right? When it comes to, does somebody come to the door and they actually are an agent, but you don't recognize them, and then they think that you're judging them for the color of their skin, or what they're wearing, or how old they are, or what they're, who they're with, or, there's a lot of factors there that we don't want to get into, obviously housing laws violations and all of that. So,
but like Malika said, it's true. It's not just, we used to worry about somebody coming into the house, throwing us in the basement, tying us up, and something like that. Now we're seeing things happening on the street, carjackings, that sort of thing. So that's why I came up where I agreed with Nagar. Security cameras might actually be, unfortunately, a way to deter things. It just may be a way to do it.
Yeah, and then what do you do with the footage if no one's, I don't know.
Well, at least you have something to turn to get, you might get, I know that some of the recent incidents, people actually saw the perpetrators changing license plates down the street, literally pulling the license plate off and putting a new one in as they went on to the next event. So I know it's going to be difficult, but all these ADT, all those things, they all tell you that it's a deterrent.
Yeah.
And just the fact that posting a sign that they are being recorded may be the deterrent rather than the actual being recorded.
Right.
I mean, when I used to live in a flat in Berkeley long before I went into real estate, and the guy upstairs had, remember when alarms, you used to put the key in and you'd turn it from, it would turn red or green or whatever. When green, that means you could go into the house, your alarm was, his didn't do anything besides turn red and green. But he screwed it to next to his front door, and people could see him putting his little key in, and he would turn it back to red when he'd go inside. And it was just, it was a deterrent. And as many
And so
deterrents-
if you stack a lot of deterrents with each other, then hopefully that actually deters someone.
it won't deter certain people, you know, there's no deterring them, but it will get rid of a lot of those, you know, a lot of the.
And I also want to encourage agents to feel comfortable and confident making those decisions and listening to your gut when you need to. If you see something and you now all of a sudden are going to drive away and not open up the open house, that is within your right and to decide, I'm not going to do this open house today, even though it's on the schedule, even though buyers are going to show up and be mad, even though my client might be disappointed. It's up to us to make those decisions and to respond accordingly, depending on what we're seeing out there. Lindsay.
Oh, yeah, I like how the conversation moved in the direction of deterrent, because I feel like a lot of the things we've been discussing, like cameras or police, they're like things that happen after an event occurs. And so I want to brainstorm or maybe do some research about what is a deterrent, like what does deter criminals, and maybe a camera is one thing, but I wonder what else. That's all.
Love that. Yeah. What other deterrents do we see? I mean, I hope that none of us are criminals. So maybe we need to get into the mindset of what, you know, who makes a target and when do they decide to go after this person versus that person?
I have a comment, Sana. One thing I've always heard from law enforcement is you should not tackle directly any people that are going to do harm to you. You don't have the wherewithal. Even if we take self-defense, it's not going to give you enough experience to be effective. And you probably shouldn't try to get direct contact with a person who's out to do. It's not safe to do that. They probably have more tricks than you do. It's not bad to take self-defense at all. But I think, like everybody said, or recently, is that deterrents are the thing. You know, that's what I think. I think it's another.
Some self-defense classes actually teach you how to run away.
Running away is a good thing. I go with that. But you know what I mean.
How to get away. Yeah, you're not, I don't think any of us are going to say, oh, that guy's pistol whipping me. I think I'm going to grab my pistol and start going.
It'll also just make you feel empowered, for you to feel like you won't sit and just be that sitting duck. So that's the important part too.
I'm not saying don't
recognize signs and things like that, right? So
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying be careful of your physical person.
I agree with you.
You're not a match for them. That's what I would say. I like running. That sounds good too.
Kathy.
Have you thought about having a meeting for the membership at large with somebody from law enforcement to talk about real life safety tips and what works? Like, you know, there's old adages, there's safety in numbers.
Maybe you should have Ursi back.
I think that's a great idea.
Those are things that really work, because the guys and gals from law enforcement aren't going to tell you to mix it up with the criminal. They're not going to say, oh, come on, kick them in the groin and then do this. And they're not going to do that. They're going to just help you identify ways that you can anticipate problems. I think the biggest thing, even though having 2 people or even 3 isn't going to save you from a gun. Guns are bigger than people, so that's not going to really be helpful. But it is more of a physical deterrent. My concern is about what I've heard about from my team is that there's these people stalking as people are coming in and out. And we've talked about that. That's something completely different, right? And that's about recognizing, and that's about being able to report crime. But then if you report suspicious activity, who's really going to come? That's the issue. And that's just not Oakland, Berkeley, that's Los Angeles, that's San Francisco, that's every major city. It's San Diego. It doesn't really matter where it is. It's going to be the same. That law enforcement doesn't have the availability to be on the spot right away. So I think that, but talking to someone from law enforcement about strategies, about how to think about self-preservation and how to think about taking precautions might be really helpful and much appreciated by the members.
Love that. Okay, we're definitely going to look into that in terms of, I mean, you know, we did have an idea to get somebody from the police forces here, and also, you know, somebody in politics who understands that side of things to kind of explain it to us, and then a self-defense person, but maybe the strategy part of it is important. I think that's a great idea. Nagar.
I love that idea, Kathy. I also wanted to ask, and maybe this is not appropriate to ask, but I'm going to ask anyway. Are these incidents that have been occurring, are they in certain pockets, like the same areas, or is this been an isolated thing all across different random places? I'm trying to understand just also what's been happening, because I've only heard of two things, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, anyone have feedback on that? I mean, I've been seeing it kind of all over, but I don't know.
Random different places.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Is that the consensus, everyone? Does anyone disagree with that?
Felicia?
Yeah.
Felicia, I'm going to jump in real quick. So there have been incidences, I'm going to say kind of all over the North. There have been incidences with members. We've had news. We've even had news of associations having, we had an association even had incidents where they've had 30 protesters show up down in the Santa Clara County, down in San Jose. And I know that's far away, but here's the thing. There's situations happening all over the North, San Jose, Oakland, it's happening. I've had Bay East reach out. So these are situations that are happening all over the place. When I talk about the protesters, we have nonprofits that are starting to approach realtors regarding housing issues and housing the home, or the lack of housing for homeless individuals. And so we are seeing different situations happening for whether it's people approaching the realtor community regarding, like I said, lack of housing, issues that we have faced politically in the North. That is happening. We are facing issues that people have been injured at properties. We had one where somebody just literally pulled up to a property and a group of kids threw, violent names at her and smacked her car, calling her, like kind of like a dirty realtor with some cuss words at it. So, it's just kind of this weird vibe that has been happening kind of all over. So there's been different stories. Felicia, anything else you kind of want to add to that?
No.
I think I pretty much covered it without, putting any names out there, right? Did
Thanks,
I get
DaVina.
everything?
No,
Yeah.
that's great. Thanks for giving
Okay.
the back end.
You're welcome.
And then Diana said in the chat that they heard one of the sewer lateral companies is refusing to do business in Oakland now because they were robbed at gunpoint. So that is another, thank you for sharing that. I have not heard that. And that's horrible. And it is within their right to refuse to do business wherever they need to do that. But wow, that's going to be an interesting impact as well. Like, are we going to be, is construction going to be even more expensive based on location and all of that? Lisa.
Hi.
Hi.
So this is going to be extremely unpopular, but I just need to put it out there that when we are here to advertise and promote our properties for our sellers. But when we do that, we also provide a roadmap for criminals. just to go on the internet and say, oh, look at all the open houses on this day at this time. And they can just see where along the road they'd like to go.
Mhm.
And so that's, I know it brings up a whole lot of things, and but so do open house, not open house, just signs that say for sale. For a long time, that was an issue with vacant homes. You know, do you put the sign up? Do you not? Because you don't want someone to know that it's vacant and someone can come in. So we need to also be thinking along the lines of what is best for the industry as a whole. How much power do we want to give everybody else, as opposed to just call your realtor and do a private showing? Something to think about.
Interesting. I'm thinking if I have any response to that. I'm like, okay, so would the suggestion then be like no open house, you know, like, and as we discussed, that's probably likely going to have to be a personal choice, or up to the brokers to recommend to their agents. John.
Hi, everyone. Felicia, I really appreciate the privacy, but it doesn't seem like there's any privacy out there. So if anybody really wants to know what happened, I'm happy to answer questions. It just seems like there's a lot of fear of the unknown and what really happened, and using our own intellects to try to figure out ways that we can prevent it. Because I think that from my standpoint, the situation was completely preventable.
And can you maybe
John,
elaborate on
go
how?
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so last Tuesday, I'm the guy that was on Broker's Tour. So I agree with Mavis and I disagree with Mavis about whether or not realtors were being targeted. Opportunity is always a target. I happen to be a realtor. I happen to be the opportunity because I was not aware of my surroundings. Okay, that's just it. I had 100 things on my mind. I pull up to a house in Montclair, and there were people waiting in a car, and just simply pulled up, and two guys with guns came out and demanded everything that I had. So, you know, that's the way it went down. Now, from the security cameras from all of the neighboring houses, we were able to see exactly what they were doing. So I drove right by these guys, my head up in the clouds, not paying attention. What had happened was that they had been sitting there for about 15 minutes in front of the house, a few doors down on the same side of the street. There were probably 3 people in the car, 2 guys with guns and a wheelman. So about 4 minutes before I entered the house, there was a young couple that got out of their car who was sent there by their realtor to view the house on Broker's Tour. Our agent's assistant was alone in the house. The couple went in, and the bad guys chose not to use them as opportunity, because 2 against 2 is probably not the perfect odds for them. 2 against 1 was far preferable, okay? So that's just the way it went down. Now, how could I have prevented the situation? This is what I've told all of our agents, and that is be aware of your surroundings. If you're pulling up on a broker's tour and you see some people in a car that don't look as though they fit the situation, keep driving. Move on, okay? Literally, if I had pulled up next to that car and made eye contact with them before I got out of my car, they probably would have driven away, because they don't like to be seen. They don't like to be ID'd, okay? I think that on Broker's Tour, yeah, we We all have ad review. We all have the MLS. We probably don't need A-frames out there because we all have GPS on our phone. We already know where we're going, okay? So did somebody figure out our broker's tour routines? Probably. I mean, it used to be that 580 freeway was a barrier to a lot of the bad people. They've suddenly discovered the hills. You know, that's the way it is. There is safety in numbers. Right after I had locked the door and was trying to stop the bleeding on my forehead, a single realtor knocked on the door. That was Terry Carlisle. And then not long after that, Jane Anderson showed up by herself. And then not long after that, Liz Behrens showed up by herself. The fact of the matter is that I'm happier that it happened to me than any of them, because they might have gotten very badly hurt, okay? And I guarantee you, we can't start carrying guns. None of us are gonna become Jackie Chan and be able to do everything that we need to defend ourselves. Awareness is the best defense. Safety in numbers is the best defense. So since COVID, I mean, our broker stores aren't all that well attended, and people tend to show up one at a time. I can tell you, if the realtor clown car showed up and 12 people piled out of it, these guys would never have thought of pulling up and trying to mug somebody. That's just the way it is. So safety in numbers and be aware of your surroundings. Just, you know, don't have your head in the clouds. That's my suggestion.
Thank you, John. Thank you for sharing your story. It's really impactful to hear. And, you know, not everyone is going to feel as confident sharing something personal and scary that happened to them. But, you know, I hope that you know that you've made a big impact on so many people, just like with that awareness aspect as well. One of the things that we're going to be doing at an association level is starting up Caravan. So we will be, this is going to start in July, where we're going to ask agents to meet at the association if they plan on going to broker's tour and carpool together. So we're not going to have, you know, 12 might not fit in one car unless you have like a huge van or something and you want to come in and shuttle everybody around. But we will be hopping into each other's cars. So there will be hopefully 5 people to a car, 4 or 5 people go tour together. You know, and just being aware, you know, if you are going to be out there by yourself, then paying attention. And it sounds so simple, but I can, you know, I'm rarely actually paying attention, right? If we really think about it, you know, this might be top of mind right now, but in 6 months, is it going to be top of mind? I don't know. I hope that we don't forget and that we continue to be hyper aware of our surroundings.
Well, I think, you know, I think that there just needs to be awareness. You know, I've done a lot of dangerous things in my life, and one of the things that I love doing is fly fishing wild rivers in Alaska. So this is kind of the same thing. When you go out there, you have to be aware, because I'm not going to run into another human being, but I could run into 7 or 8 bears in the course of a day. And you have to have that awareness of how you're going to handle the situations and what you need to do as far as preventive maintenance, okay? So it's kind of the same thing, you know, you're not terrified out there, you're just aware of what you need to do to keep yourself safe. And if you think about it, there's always little things that you can do just to be a little bit safer, that's all, you know? Me, I was walking through the woods with no thought in my head. And that's what happened in Montclair, okay?
Well, we're also exhausted and it's hard to always be very aware. So try not to blame yourself.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
there's an interesting conversation happening in the chat about tasers and different stun guns and stuff like that. That's definitely an option. If you feel like that's going to help, like, go for it. I know a lot of people are afraid themselves to use it. They do, most of them come with safety features where you would have to hold down a certain button in order to turn it on. So like, you're probably not going to accidentally stun yourself, but you know, that's the risk that we take. Thank you, John. Valerie.
This might be just, you know, something that everyone knows, but I've really gotten in the habit of not carrying anything or wearing anything valuable. I don't wear jewelry anymore if I'm going out. I have a little business card holder that I stick in my back pocket with a credit card and a $20 bill. I don't carry a purse. I carry my phone in a pocket and my little credit card holder in the other pocket and my keys in another pocket. And I keep things separately so that they're not all in one place, you know? And then there was something else I was just going to say, and I completely forgot what it is. So anyhow, yeah. Oh, the other thing is, I know we like to drive nice cars and stuff, but if you have an option to not drive a nice car, I would say don't drive a nice car. I have an Audi, which is kind of a nice car, but it's an older one. One year it got broken, it got windows smashed 3 times in 1 year in Oakland and Berkeley. And what I noticed is that every time the windows got smashed, I had just washed it and it looked shiny and new. So now if I'm if I have a listing in a less desirable neighborhood, I will not wash my car until I sell that house. And it gets kind of grimy sitting in my driveway because I don't have a garage to put it in. So I think, you know, just little stuff like that that doesn't make us targets would be good as well. I mean, you know, I don't know. I saw John, and I don't want to lay any blame, but I see him there and he has a nice ring on. Felicia, you have a nice ring on, and all that's great. But, you know, that's all stuff that people want and that they know that they can sell for a profit.
But my wedding ring is pretty new, Valerie.
I know, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying.
No, I know. I just really don't want to lose my ring. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We've been here for an hour and 15 minutes. If you have to go, that's totally fine. We love you and appreciate you for being here. If you'd like to stick around and chat longer, we're here. So thank you, Valerie. That's a good point. I kind of miss when I drove my old shitty car, and now I have a nicer car, which was probably not the best move, but it's always dirty. So there's that at least. Maybe
yeah, good. We're similar in that.
So a couple of months ago, a person who asked to remain nameless was putting signs out at an open house, got to the last sign right in front of the house. People drove up, grabbed her purse, hit her a little bit, and they were young. There were people on the younger side. They grabbed her purse, they got her keys, they got her car. They had her home address, everything that she had was in that car and gone. And so, you know, when you talk about opportunity, this was, you know, she's paying attention to putting signs out. And I agree with Valerie, you don't carry, you know, somebody said in our office meeting the other day, the bright pink purse is not a great idea. The other ones that I'm hearing about besides that carjacking in front of an open house, just as the open house was supposed to start. And that's the other scary thing is if somebody steals stuff, they have your home address also, and then you want to go, and if they have your keys from the car, you want to go home and change all your locks. The other thing that I'm hearing a lot about is smash and grab. So all these people who have really nice purses that they put on the passenger seat while they're at the stop sign, and then somebody smashes the window, grabs the nice purse and keeps going. That happens a lot. And in my own recent case, just a couple of weeks ago in Montclair, in the tennis court parking lot, as you all know, most of you who know me, I don't have a fancy car. And I have a hatchback, and the cover on the hatchback is one of the things, hooks is not working. And they could just barely see, I had a little tool bag that I carry from listing to listing, and someone smashed my window, took the tool bag and left. And that's the only thing. I mean, what else was in there? Half-eaten lunch, but they could see that little tool bag. And then when I got the window fixed, the guy said, don't put a hatchback cover on it. In fact, I've gotten in the habit now of laying the seats down. So if you look in, you can see there's nothing in the car. Just That's just to save
Wow.
windows more than anything else.
I've also heard from people doing that, leaving all of their windows visible and their trunk visible and their seat down, and people still smash. And it's just because they're moving so quickly through the cars, they don't even really, sometimes they're not really even really looking into the car, they're just smashing. Kathy made a comment about Uber, and you know, we are very fortunate in this day and age to have that sort of technology. And I do use it sometimes if I'm going somewhere for business. Instead of driving there, I'll just take an Uber because it's, you know, I don't want to leave my car wherever or whatever. So that's definitely an option. I'm not sure what you mean by have them wait. Do you mean like drive them to your burger store and have them sit outside and wait for you? Because that seems like that could get kind of expensive.
Maybe not. Just depends. I mean, it depends on how long you're going to be and how much you want to invest, right? I mean, it's just a level of, it's really sad that we're having this conversation. I mean, it's really sad if you think about it. But I was having this conversation 25 years ago about the safety of open houses and about carjackings. These are not new. Nothing we're talking about is new. What's new is that the miscreants are not afraid of the consequences now. 25 years ago, they knew they would be arrested. They knew they would be prosecuted. They knew they would do jail time. They don't have those concerns now, not with shoplifting, not with smash and grabs, not with any of it. That's the societal issue that we're dealing with right now that makes what we do so much harder. I did make the comment about the designer bags. I mean, you think about that. Some of the purses that we carry are, you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months rent for someone. This is like, we sometimes give the signals and give the vibe and wear the jewelry, and not that we shouldn't be able to, we should, but sometimes it's just a temptation that to others. So maybe just, you know, get into the grunge a little bit. Maybe the grunge is good. I don't know. You know, just big thermal baggy shirts and leggings and a pair of sneakers. Maybe that's the drill, you know, and a canvas sack with a cat decal on it. Maybe that's like the thing. I'm just saying, I don't know what the answer is, guys, but I'll tell you what I do know. This is the only association, and I belong to 52 associations, that's having this conversation. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that the leadership team is listening and having the conversation and getting the input, and also that people like John are sharing stories and Mavis and telling us what's going on out there. It's really a testament to the camaraderie and, you know, of the members and also the leadership team. So thank you for this.
Thank you so much. It's super, super sweet. Yeah, we try our best. And obviously this is not something that we can just turn off with a switch, but this conversation is super helpful to me, and I hope that you guys are getting impacted as well. Before we sign out, does everybody want to maybe drop something in the chat that you took from this meeting? Maybe it's something that you're going to start practicing. Maybe it's something that you're going to start doing. Let us know if you're going to stop doing Saturday open houses. Let us know if you're going to stop doing A-frames, if you're going to advise your agents to do the same. I just want to get a sense of from the room what everybody's taking from this. And we are taking notes. And so the things that we said we're going to do, we are going to follow up with you guys on that. But this will just help get a sense of what you're all personally going to be doing, and help us maybe do the same as well. So drop that in the chat. And then if there's anyone in the room who hasn't spoken yet and has something on their chest that they either want to get out, or an idea that's been ruminating in the back of their minds, like now is a great time to do that. And we would love to hear from you.
Felicia, before we break, can I just do a quick recap of my team's, our marching orders moving forward from this group? Okay, great.
And if they if DaVina missed anything, hop in and let us know, and we can.
I would appreciate that. Yes. So for moving forward for our team, we are going to price out a couple of things for our members. We're going to look at the and I was looking online, the Birdie instant alarms. We're going to look at those prices. Marla, you're making notes too, correct? All right, so we're looking at the Birdie instant alarm for prices on those. We're also going to look at some portable cameras, maybe for those. We're going to look at that. We will be putting together and working on, I'm going to give Kieran that duty. We're going to work on putting together a panel for local law enforcement to come, and we'll put together, that will be a Zoom event. So, and we'll invite that so you can come in the comfort of your own offices or homes. We'll put together that with law enforcement. We do have a safety class for that is scheduled in September, but we will look to try to bump that up, maybe bring it into another class, maybe into July. I know that will be coming fast, but we'll see if we can get a self-defense class sooner, if not possibly July or August. And last but not least, we will continue to work with the city officials to see what we can do to work together to help voice our concerns with our safety, not only for our members, but also for our consumers, for our buyers and sellers, and that, to help with that within the community. Did we miss anything? I know I can see the chat going crazy. We're going to get that all. Thank you for the recording. If there is anything else, I know my staff is helping me, but I think I took some notes that I love was awareness is the best defense and safety in numbers. I know that is something that is always out there. And again, we're continuing to work on safety apps with our Paragon partners to bring to you at a discounted rate. Our goal is to be able to pay for that. And if there's upgrades, of course, things like that. But we are on it. Thank you so much. I think that is everything. If you find anything else, please send us an email. Gustavo, would you put my email also in the chat for me? I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, DaVina. Thank you, staff. And thank you, everybody, for contributing. This would not be the same conversation at all had none of you been here. So I really appreciate your insights, and thanks for all of these comments in the chat. Looks like there could be some potential open house opportunities for some newer agents if they'd like. It sounds like a lot of people are going to start talking to their sellers about not doing that. So my door is always open. DaVina's door is always open. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat. You can call me, text me, email me. And our board will be meeting and discussing all of the things that you guys chatted about. I'm going to give them a breakdown, a little synopsis of that, and we will be following up with the list that DaVina had. And if you think of anything else in the meantime, please feel free to email us or call me or text me. Wonderful. Anything else anybody wants to get off their chest before we end the call? Thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of the conversation, and thank you so much for showing up. It really makes a huge difference.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you.
Be safe. Be aware.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.